So in case, like, even if you're having any sort of language problems, I'll stick to English from now on. And like right now is when the session is officially starting, so there'll be no worries. You haven't missed anything beforehand. You were just solving like specific personal doubts. Okay, no worries. Has the recording started?
Yeah, it has.
Cool. So we'll start today with basically the how to get your TurtleBot 3 working.
Yeah, Kushagra.
Through it quickly. You'll go to Robotis and basically you'll choose the third option, the quick start guide, and just scroll up here.
Yeah. Quick start guide. And the PC setup section. Wait. Okay, I'll continue. I think Kushagra is having network problems. So, like a simple thing here is like in this you have to ignore step 3.1.1 and 1.2. This is because like these two steps are to install Ubuntu on your PC and ROS 1, which you have already done from ROS website, the ROS Wiki one. Okay. After this, you have to like directly start from 3.1.3, install these dependent packages. Okay. Skip 3.1.4, like skip these three commands and directly continue with these commands from make directory. Okay. If you have by mistake done these three commands, you can like undo these commands by these three. Okay, just removing those packages and then continue with these. So what this will do is that this will make a workspace folder for you in your home directory and also clone the important files, like the packages of turtlebot, which include so like after you've done these commands, you'll see that in your home directory the structure is like this. You'll get the Scatcon workspace folder, inside which there will be the source folder where you can find these three folders: turtlebot 3, messages, and simulations. Okay, so these are basically the meta packages inside which you can find other packages as well. So in the Gazebo folder, like Gazebo is a package for simulation in which there are multiple launch files which launch different types of environments, which I'll show you after like we finish all the steps. Okay, so basically after completing this 3.1.4 expanded part, okay, your TurtleBot is set up. All you have to do is just set the ROS master IP, which I'll show you how it's done. And the other thing would be setting up your robot name. Okay, like which robot version you're using. Okay, for example, this taller robot is called TurtleBot Burger, and this is TurtleBot Waffle. Okay, so you have to, for that you have to do this ifconfig command to see your IP address. So I'll do it here. Okay, so it may happen that in your fresh installation ifconfig is not installed, so just do this uh, command. Okay, and this will install ifconfig for you. After that you can again run ifconfig to get your IP address. Okay, let's wait for it to install. Okay, yeah, it's done. Okay, now you can see these flags, and in this you can see inet address. It's here. So my IP address is like the first three paths are always mostly the same for all, the last one is variable. Okay, so for me it's 109. So what I'll do is that I'll copy this IP address and open my bash RC. So you can either use the nano editor or the gedit editor. I think gedit editor is installed by default in all Linux distributions, but you have to separately install the nano editor. So we'll go with gedit.bashrc, or you can do this, okay, in case you're not in the home directory. Okay, so this will open the gedit bashrc. Okay, after this you can see that, because like one more thing, that if you don't have a physical total bot, okay, so you actually don't need to do any IP settings. But just in case, like if we end up having end up working with a new like a physical robot, we'll have to put these commands in. Okay, so this will be the new, like, specifying the ROS master IP address. So for this, in
Just
the end you
on
can go.
a small point, sometimes in Noetic when you use get it, right,
Yeah,
like a last line often is not visible. So you will think that I put a command, where is it? Just like maximize and then like
yeah.
make it like small again. I don't know why it happens, but like a small hack. Just maximize the get it window and then sort of small, make it small again. So the last line will become visible.
Okay, and
And sometimes ROS host name might not work, then you have to use ROS IP. But I think on Noetic host name should work.
yeah, like you can also replace this by localhost. That doesn't harm. I mean, because most of the routers nowadays, they use DHCP protocol, which sometimes changes the IP address also. Okay, so like what one day, like I had this problem that earlier my IP address ended with 107, but then it changed to 109 because of the router. So like my ROS wasn't functioning correctly, so I just changed this to localhost. So it would be like, okay, so this thing will also work. Save the file and exit it. Okay, so that's your bash RC setup. After this, what you can do is that close all the terminals. Okay,
Then you just switch to part 6 of this manual simulation.
yeah. So all the, like if there is something written on top, okay, like some error, like some directory or something is missing, so it means that your bash RC has a command which is not functioning properly. Okay, like a few moments ago in, I guess, Samarthya's screen, we could see that the kinetic folder was not there. Okay, that was because his command used kinetic instead of noetic. Okay, so you have to keep an eye on such things. Okay.
Yeah, so basically, whatever tutorial you're following, make sure that it's actually there for the Noetic distribution as well. And usually, the fastest way of finding it is like just scroll up to the top of the page, and then there'll be options: Melodic, Kinetic, Noetic. So yours is Noetic. In case you don't see Noetic there, don't follow that tutorial. Okay.
Yeah. So after this, you have to like come to the Catkin workspace. Like now we'll be doing the simulation parts. Okay. So we change directory to
Just
Catkin.
after this, right? After 6.1.1, just show them your get bash RC once and like tell them that you can put the turtle bot also in it.
Okay. Yeah. So there is this command, like you have to always specify which robot you will be using. So this export command. So in Samarthya's screen, you could see that after before every run, he had to export which robot he'll be using. So instead of doing it every time, what you can do is that just put it in your bash RC, so this will like automatically run it. Like you will always be using this waffle pie robot in my case. Okay, if you want to use the other one, let's suppose burger, you can just switch this over
Like
here.
difference is basically between the sensors and out of all these robots. Like there are three robots: burger, waffle pie. I think one of them has been discontinued, and usually you can use waffle pie because I think it has all the sensors, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
there's a difference in like lidar, camera, and everything. So just use Waffle Pi because it has everything. So any functionality you want in your simulation, Waffle Pi will be able to give it to you. So just use Waffle Pi as a default. So like if you have that command in your Bash RC that you mention a robot, you do not need to export this TurtleBot model 3 model is equal to so and so from now on. Basically, you needed to do it because only in case you didn't have it in your Bash RC. Now that you have it in your Bash RC, that export command is automatically run because the Bash RC basically whenever a new terminal opens, Bash RC runs all of those commands which it has. So you don't need to follow now. Like basically, when you're following this tutorial, you do not need to run these export model commands, right?
hmm. So after this, we'll go to the Catkin workspace. Source directory. Okay, so this is basically telling you how to install the simulation packages. Okay, so after doing this command, this git clone and the catkin make, I already have these installed, so I won't be like doing it again. I think it will show zero packages upgraded or something like that.
Yeah, but
So
you should make note of 6.1.1 because it's a very common thing. Like, for example, in the future, you'll be working with more complex robots which people have developed. So, this is the standard way of getting them that you go to the GitHub repo, you clone that repo, and then basically make that package. Right?
yeah,
So,
so
this is a very standard way you should like know how to do it. That basically you choose your workstation, you go to the SRC folder, in that you clone, and then you come out of your SRC directory into your like one level above, and then you catkin.
yeah, so catkin make should always be run in the catkin workspace directory. Okay, so what I mean by this is that currently I'm in the home directory. Like this is what your clear fresh terminal window would look like. So you should always be in the catkin workspace. Okay, you can do the like check this by doing pwd command print working directory. So it
So I
should
just
be
want to say, what is
home.
this Catkin workspace? I don't know what is it. Is this a
Catkin
new
workspace,
folder
it's a,
name or what is
yeah,
it?
it's a folder. It's not a
Yeah.
program or
So
application.
like a very common convention to write it to basically make your name your workstation Catkin workspace. So like most tools you see will have Catkin workspace only as a name. So it becomes convenient for you to also make your workspace name Catkin workspace because otherwise whenever you like copy commands or something you'll have to edit that out everywhere, which is a bit tedious.
Yeah, and
Either you
yeah,
just in case like
am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Huh.
Yes, sir.
So
yeah.
you can use the pwd command print working directory to know where you are currently. Okay. So currently I'm in home slash username slash catkin workspace. Okay. Only here you should do the catkin make command. Okay. So every catkin make command ends with this build target. Okay. Build target and then name of your package. So this was the last package which I was working on. So that name is here. Okay. So let's go back to the home directory. And yeah, after doing this command, like installing this from the git clone, you will have this new folder called turtlebot simulations. Okay, and this will have these packages. Okay, now that the simulation world is ready, you can start with simulation. All packages are there. So this is the export command which we have already added to the bash RC, so we know we don't need to do it again. Like you can always like you can do it, but there is no compulsion to like keep repeating this thing. Also, as you can remember that we have done the waffle pie robot. Like we have selected the waffle pie robot. If you plan to like switch to a different robot, then you can do it like you can add this burger one here. So this will override that thing. Okay.
Um, just type in this command like using tab. We'll explain tab also to them.
Yeah.
Basically, like in ROS, like you'll have to like basically work with sort of these packages which are inside folders and so on. So it might become a bit tedious for you to write it like from scratch the whole command because it becomes long. So the easy way to do it is basically keep using the tab button on your keyboard. So tab is basically autofill. It tells you all possibilities that exist given the words that you're writing in the command. For example, write ROS-L,
For example, yeah, ROS L.
ROS-L. So it will tell you, okay, these are the So now if you put ROS-L, so yeah, ROS-LA, then it will automatically give ROS launch because you've already said ROSLA, and then there are only 4 options with that: ROS launch complete, ROS launch logs, ROS launch greps. And if you press space once, now there's only one option, that is ROS launch, right? And then there will be further commands with ROS launch, and it's asking you, do you want all 255 possibilities? Because it's a very large number, that's why it's asking you to become serious and list it down. So just press no. Okay, just press okay, cool. So these are all like stuff you can run with like ROS launch. Press enter for what you want. Anyway, yeah. So ROS launch, and then you have an idea, right, that you're running a turtle bot. So you can simply write ROS launch turtle, and then like yeah, tab, and it will keep telling you. It's very easy. Like
So you have
after
to basically just double tab, and you will see all the possibilities that like
exactly.
that command ends at.
Yeah, so because becomes a bit like tedious to keep remembering what was the package name exactly and everything. So you can just like keep pressing tab and make your way through. Right?
So these are like all the launch files and TurtleBot 3 Gazebo. Okay.
Yeah. And now in Gazebo, basically the function is that you specified the package, and then there'll be a file, a launch file, which will make things run. So usually when you like do the package and then press tab, it will automatically detect the launch.
Okay, so I've run the stage 4 launch. Okay, so this world looks like this.
This is a different launch file. Yeah.
Yeah. Should I run the same one?
No, it's all right.
Like this world looks more interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so because I exported the burger robot, you can see the burger robot in the simulation. If I export the other robot, this will change. Okay, so for that, I'll have to first close this gazebo GUI and then export the other robot and then continue. So I guess we'll stick to this robot only.
I think it's time we should like tell them about navigation also, because like then we show them that Richard Wang wanted to do.
Yeah. Okay, so let's keep this one aside. Okay, so for the Richard Wang one, we had to start with the G mapping, right?
Yeah, show them the total bot navigation only first, like complete.
Yeah.
G
Okay, so
mapping and everything, total bot can.
in the new tab, we can start with total G mapping, right? Okay, but not in navigation. Slam. Yeah. So we are in the Slam module, Slam package. So what Slam is, it stands for simultaneous localization and mapping. So what we'll be doing is that making a map of the environment.
And localize, basically like it's a fundamental problem in robotics that basically to make a map you need to know where you are, but to know where you are you need a map, right? So it's like a chicken and egg problem. So does the chicken come first or the egg? It's like that. So the plan basically is that you simultaneously do both and make your way through and make a map and also get to know where you are in that map. And one like way of doing this mapping process called G mapping. So it's a particular sort of type of mapping which is very popular and used and I think uses like particle filters. It's a very fancy name. You don't really need to like get into like the mathematics of it. You just need to know how to use these packages. But if you're interested, you can like there's a book called Probabilistic Robotics, which is a very like fundamental book. You can go through that book if you want, and it's a you'll have to deal with a bit of probability, but yeah, I guess you get the hang of stuff. The theory behind all of this, like what's the theory behind navigation and like yeah. Anyway, yeah, just done G mapping and RViz and everything.
Yeah. Okay, so this tab will have the
Yeah, this is the teleop tab. So you know what the teleoperation does by now. That just press your key and it moves around like accordingly. Um, just open RViz. I don't think we've introduced them to RViz.
we did like in the previous session.
All right, all right.
Yeah. So I think first of all we have to set up the global frame, right?
Base is normally
It's,
map is all right. Map is all right.
okay.
Just
I'll add
add
the
map.
robot model.
Yeah, robot model and add map also.
What's this here?
Fixed frame को base link.
There is nothing like a base link.
You type it. आ जाएगा.
अच्छा.
यार I don't know if पे नहीं आ रहा क्या.
Okay, I guess there is something like the robot is upside down.
Anyway, just use one of the ODOM use कर लो I guess. Or just like enable map now first because that's what matters.
Yeah.
And laser scan also.
Laser scan.
So what we're doing is this RViz is also like a 2D navigation like simulation software. And what you can do is you have these different um, topics, right? So I hope you know what a topic. I hope you have some idea of what a topic is, right? That basically to which you like pass information. So you can pass information about a map and pass information about laser scan and laser sensor and so on. And accordingly, all of those things you can like add or delete in RViz, like on the left at what's the error? You use the standard RViz Vona.
Yeah, the standard like there is a different RS thing.
अरे turtle मतलब what did you run? I can't see your screen. मतलब मेरा lag कर रहा है. Sorry.
Wait, I'll show you all the commands. This one is the ROS launch. Okay, the stage 4. This one is
mine is
Gmap.
lag. Wait. I'll have to. You can run like the Turtlebot 3 RViz file, right? That go to like Turtlebot 3 gazebo and there'll be a RViz launch file inside it.
Oh, acha. Sorry.
You need to do that because right now you haven't set up the topics on your own. No?
Yeah.
This is usually you use this like for a hardware robot where you have done the topics and everything, right? But you just like
What's that in
Turtlebot,
Gazebo?
Turtlebot 3. I think it's in gazebo only as far as I remember. Just press tab.
Gazebo has one. हाँ है. Gazebo.
Gazebo RViz.com. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, the model is different, but okay, no problem.
Yeah, so go to laser and like increase the size because it's a bit not visible.
Yeah. I'll remove this camera.
Guys, so what this RViz essentially is basically whatever just what I said that I told you about topics, right? That a robot has different sensors and like information. They basically publish that information on topics, right? So whatever topics are published, you can visualize those using RViz while you are simulating this. All right. So in short, using RViz, you can, if you want me to put it very clearly, what I'll say is that RViz is basically software which visualizes different like components of the robot. Like if you have a camera, you can choose always to like see what is the camera feed. You can choose what is the laser scan. You can see where the robot is in the map right now. So it's also like Gazebo in a very cool thing. But like it's not a physics engine. Like Gazebo is a physics engine, right? But Arvis is not like a physics engine, to the best of my knowledge.
Okay, so we have also added the map
Yeah.
widget and the map topic.
Topic/map over. Yeah.
Done.
So now you can see the way to read this is like the gray cells are like I think you can figure it out honestly. Black is like occupied, and the whitish cells are like empty area. The gray is unknown. So right now the robot, you can see that it has a sort of very radial, like these lines are very radial, right? From extending from the robot. That's because like the laser is a sort of a 360-degree laser, like it goes in all directions. Anyway, it's very interesting actually how this is done. And you can also like basically use like something called an occupancy grid. Basically, this map is right now in a visual format for you, right? And you can basically simultaneously while this is running, you can get the map in a sort of a matrix. So basically, robots use like basically computers deal with matrices, right? So in case you have any sort of like for your project or anywhere, you need your map simultaneously while the robot is running. The information about the map is published in a topic in the form of a matrix. So it will have every matrix value will be between 0 to 100, representing the probability of that particular point being occupied. And then there's a threshold value which will tell you, okay, if it's below this, then it's empty, or then if it's below this, then it's occupied.
Yeah, so I guess we'll start mapping out the area.
Yeah, you can start mapping out.
So I'll use the teleoperation keys.
Yeah. So basically you have to make sure that before you teleoperate, you press that terminal and your cursor is in that terminal, so that the commands that you are like inputting are actually registered. Just move.
Now I guess you can see the robot rotating and all and moving it.
Just move it a bit so that like, we can see additional mapping.
Yeah. I would also advise to like do this slowly, because what happens is that many times if you like move the robot really fast, the tires like the wheels may skid, and what happens is that the data, basically the odometry data, gets messed up, and then it's like basically
so I
the
hope
orientation
the odometry data is basically I think this was in the questionnaire or not?
odometry, I'm not sure.
Anyway, so it like just to like to track where the robot is going, there are many ways. For example, if you have a camera, and let's say that camera is seeing a wall and using computer vision or something, you say that okay, this wall is like 0.2 meters in front of me, and then the robot is moving, but like how do you know what the robot is actually doing? Like there's always a suspicion, right, that the command that I'm inputting, the robot is not moving accordingly exactly in a similar way, right? So there are like different ways of checking that the commands that the robot is moving according to the commands we've given and not some random motion. So like for example, if there's a camera and then you give a command and the camera sees a wall, and that wall is 0.2 meters away according to computer vision, and then you basically make the robot move towards the wall by 0.1 meters, so the camera can sort of verify okay that movement has taken place. Similarly, you can use odometry data, which tells you basically how are the wheels moving. So the funda is that like basically when the however the wheels are moving is basically how the robot will move, right? That's basically sort of, that's like very crudely putting it, but yeah, just to give you some sort of intuitive understanding of what it is. So what Hetal meant to say that like if you are actually like doing it too fast in the real world, the tires may skid. So it's like sort of motion. The motion is like a slipping motion. So you're actually like the robot can only measure how much the wheels are rotating. So it will say that less rotations have been done. So the robot has actually moved, let's say 0.1 meters, but because you were slipping, the actual value may be greater than that, right? That's why he's saying that like in real life mapping and everything like, is done like very slowly, very patiently. In Gazebo, interestingly, when you like interact with it a bit, you can change the friction coefficient between the wheels and the ground and everything.
And in fact, in Gazebo, you can also like, if you try, you can drift the robot.
Yeah. Like yeah. So like this might be like going over your heads a bit, but the like basically why are we doing this is because there is no structured way in which we can teach you that this is in which we can teach you one concept, then we can teach you one concept, and then we can teach you another concept, and then say okay, go through this progression order, and then basically you're done with ROS. That's not how it goes. The idea is that these are like different concepts that you all of these you'll be needing to make a robot. So what we are trying to do is trying to like expose you to as many concepts as we can, so that you have an idea of those things, and then whenever your whatever your robot application demands, you can pursue those particular set of concepts in detail, right? So don't expect like today's lecture also to be sort of a very streamlined lecture, because there is no structure to it. It's basically different um, concepts in different stages of develop, basically which have been developed by this online community, open source community, and we just like exposing you to all of those concepts. There is no like structured way of going through it. Sorry about that. Any doubts so far? Like you guys can type in the comments. Are you guys with us till now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, cool.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Cool.
So basically, this RViz is basically a simulation software. We are seeing how the robot is moving. Gazebo is showing the actual real world, how what is this, where our robot is.
Yeah.
Can you
In RViz, we can use sensors, matlab all the sensors. We can visualize how sensors are working in RViz.
exactly? So
Yeah.
like this is like you can imagine if you make a robot, then you can use it to check okay, like sensors will publish data, right? Is that data reaching its desired destination or stuff like that? Anyway, it'll like save the map once, tell them where you them commands and करके.
Yeah,
And
the map is done, I guess.
yeah, save the map and then navigation भी कर दो एक बार बोल के.
Save image or what? What was the thing? एक minute, yeah. To save
There's a
the
command, there's a
map,
command.
there is a command. Yeah.
I think the command is wait, I remember part of it. I'll have to see.
Save it as a PGM or YAML file. Although I already
It
have.
automatically does both. It is map server, map underscore server, map underscore saver. ROS run, map server, map saver, F,
Okay.
and then map name, whatever.
Okay, so map. So
Yeah, map saver,
and now you can.
and then like hyphen F, and then like similarity sign, and like I don't know what to call it. Sorry.
Yeah, tilde.
Yeah. Okay. Tilde. And slash map.
Okay, slash
Like if you want to save it by the name of map
ROS map dot.
and whatever.
Okay, no extensions, right?
Nothing. It does it by its own.
Okay, cool.
So what we're doing right now, guys, is that like now we have a map, right? So now we have this information that we've made. How to save it? This is the command to save it. And what you'll find is that after you do that, in your home directory,
You can see like this. These two are from my previous trials. This is the one which I made right now. Like you can see the name
it,
Rosna.
like, if you don't do tilde slash and basically if you give an entire path there, it will save it in the path you want. Right now, we just saved it in the home directory. So yeah, there you have it.
So the PGM file basically has the occupancy grid.
Yeah, if you can like click on the YAML file one because I want to show you something.
Yeah, it has the thresholds and
Yeah,
everything.
threshold values exactly.
Yeah, and the
So
origin
like
also.
the values I was talking about earlier, that firstly let like out. This is like in a on probability level, so like 0 to 1. So this is a threshold, right? So basically, the funda is that like you're dealing with probabilities. There is no certainty here, right? So the robot after it's scanning, what we're generating is a probability for each point, and if the value of the probability of it to be occupied or not. So if that particular like probability is below the free threshold level, then we call it like um, empty. That's white in the map. If it's above 0.65, then it's black, then it's occupied, and basically in anywhere in between sort of unknown area, which is scanned again and again until it reaches one of these threshold values.
Yeah.
That's my understanding of it. I'm not completely sure if that's how it works, but yeah. I'll put if you guys want, I'll put a interesting paper on uh, basically improving navigation through deep learning. If anybody of you is interested in that, artificial intelligence and deep learning, I made a project once on it. If you want, I can show. Anyway, that's sort of done.
Yeah, so I guess I'll run the AMCL node.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
now what I'll be doing is that the robot will move by itself. Okay, no teleoperation. So for that, firstly, we have to free the CMD topic. Like currently, this uh, teleoperation is publishing zero value to the CMD topic that is preventing the robot to move. Okay, so I'll close this operation, and then I'll run the other command, I guess. This ROS launch. Okay, request for map failed. Do we have to provide the map with the... Okay, I think we have to. Initial pose and scan top.
सर जस्ट एक डाउट था,
Yeah.
अगर हमारे पास फिजिकल रोबोट हो तो मतलब आरवीएस पे तुम देखेंगे पर फिर गजीबो का कोई रोल नहीं रहेगा वहाँ पर.
No, you can also use gazebo there as well. Like, हाँ वैसे I don't think gazebo का उतना कोई रोल रहेगा.
फिर तो मतलब हम फिजिकली मतलब कोई
You
रिमोट से
RS,
चलाएंगे ना रोबोट्स
yeah,
को.
then you have like a then you basically use RVS to simulate the other sense. Like for example, today morning only I was like controlling a robot somewhere else. So like what you do is basically then you only use RVS to see if the map is being generated firstly and if the sensors are working, and that's all. And then you use like a basically yeah gazebo का role ऐसा.
What's...
क्या command use करा दिखा मुझे.
Yeah, I've used this. To launch the AMCL node.
Where
This one.
cross launch total
I think इसके बाद we can directly go to RPS.
काम कर एक वो था ना, there is one example now of that autonomous collision avoidance.
No, I'll do this one, I guess. I think
Yeah, 2D.
navigation board.
First you tell the robot. First you tell it where it is. Right?
Oh yeah.
But it's already there now. That's not. You need to like do that. I think. Wait. Navigation you can show them later because abhi it's confusing for them, and it doesn't make sense unless
I mean,
like,
the map is ready, so I think we can show.
that is not how you do it, right? Close kar वापस gazebo run kar.
Also, I think an application crashed. Not sure which one.
Like close everything, run it again. You have the map saved, right?
Yeah, I have the map.
That's it. Because right now it won't make sense now. If you already know where you are, why are you using navigation? Close it again. Everything. ये gazebo भी बंद कर. Something crashing in your room. Now launch the same world that you launched earlier.
Yeah.
So the idea here is now what we are saying that we have a map, right? And we're trying to navigate through the map. I think it's best if you see what's happening, then only you get an idea of what you're seeing because it becomes confusing. I won't be well explained if you don't like best way to see it. To learn about this is to see it. Anyway, Ross launched gazebo, whatever that house or whatever it was. Then run the navigation node. Sorry, your screen is lagging, so I can't see where you are. But Turtlebot 3 underscore navigation, and it's called
AMCL.launch.
no Turtlebot 3 navigation. Okay, cool. AMCL however you want.
In which one do we provide the file name also, like along with?
File name in navigation.launch, right?
Okay.
That I know that one, but I'm not. I haven't done the AMCL one with
Yeah.
Plus
map file equals n asterisk, right?
map file.
Apostrophe.
Like colon equals.
The
Like
YAML file.
$home or basically whatever. Will this work? I don't know. Like YAML did you?
Yeah, I specified the YAML.
Control C dabao. I think just copy it from the website, right?
Just a sec.
Just copy. Just see what the website has to say.
Okay, it has to be specified like as home.
$sign.
$sign. Cross.
Yeah. So what this sort of green, if you can see this, are these green dots visible to you guys? If it is, basically all these green dots are basically where the robot could have been. So let me just give you some context, right? You have a map and you're trying to now imagine your robot goes to imagine like you yourself come to IIT, right? And you're new to IIT, you haven't really been there before, but you have a map, right? You have like this sort of general map of IIT which has all the buildings listed and all the venues listed. But if that map is pretty much useless to you if you can't figure out where you are in that map yourself. So, example, if you enter through the main gate, you have if you given a map, then you'll firstly see where the main gate is, and then see where you can go from the main gate to other places, right? So now what we did earlier, we generated a map, and now we have this sort of map given to this robot, right? By exiting Gazebo, we sort of ended that session. Now we are in a new session of Gazebo, and now we are trying to see. The first thing we'll do is that we'll try to find where we actually are in this map, right? That's the sort of game plan, right? So all of these green dots that you can see around the robot, that is like potential positions
The
where,
green arrows,
yeah,
these things.
yeah, that is like sort of, yeah, arrows zoomed in. So that's sort of like, potential places where the robot can be, right? So like if I give you a map of IIT and you're uh, and you're standing on the front gate, but you're looking in the map around areas around the main building, you won't really find anything to navigate about, right? You'll have to look around the main gate first to find out the way to the main building, right? Anyway, so the idea is that you launch it and basically make it like as close as to the original position where it is. I think it's sort of,
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, what we do is that uh, like there is this probability distribution that the robot can be here and all. Like these are the multiple positions where the robot can be. What we'll do is that we'll provide a certain goal to the robot, and then the robot will move a bit according to like there is this blue square region. This is called the local cost map. Okay, so what you can see here is that the uh, the pink marks, like this one, the one on which I'm hovering the mouse. Okay, so this is basically the obstacle which the robot can see, and the black one is the obstacle which the robot has in mind inside its map. Okay, so what it will do is that when it moves, it will try to map the obstacles of the map to the obstacles which it is seeing through its lidar scan data. Okay, so what will happen is that the obstacles will overlap with each other, and when there is like a certain amount of confidence that yes, the map is correctly placed, and like your position in the map is correctly known, then it will proceed to move towards its goal. So what you'll see is that
what
all these arrows will start to come together, and like it is a bit like reinforcement learning. So like all these arrows will start to come together, and then uh, like form into a single arrow. Okay, that will be like the
basically
final.
what is sort of like what this sort of basically the like in a 2D, let's say like it's a 2D plane, right? And you have a robot. So what all do you need what all information do you need to define where the robot actually how where the robot actually is? You need the x coordinate, the y coordinate, and sort of one angle, right? The orientation as to where the robot is looking, right? You need these three things, right? In 2D plane. Um, so that all of that together is called the pose of the robot, the like the coordinates and the orientation. So three things, right? X coordinate, Y coordinate, and the orientation. That's called the pose. And basically, what we're trying to do right now is trying to find the robot where it actually is in the map. So that's called the initial pose. So we're trying to do the. So we're trying to estimate the initial pose. So like if you guys open the Robotus manual part 6 simulation and go over to like navigation part, what you want to do is initial pose estimation. I think it's 6.3 something something. I don't.
Yeah, so I think I'll give a 2D navigation goal and let the robot
Yeah,
like
I do.
traverse and yeah.
So that you like 2D pose estimate the green one with the green arrow.
Is that necessary to do? Like,
That's what I know how to do. I'm not
I
really
think
sure.
we can directly proceed to the navigation goal. So what I'll do is that I'll ask the robot to come behind this wooden piece. Okay, so that is roughly here. Okay, in this direction. Okay, so now you can see the robot movement. Okay, and all the arrows have
Like, did you
come
guys
together.
notice something interesting? Although he gave him a simple command, it's trying to it sort of curved it on its own, right?
Yeah,
And that's because it has a standard like thing that it tries to like avoid obstacles, right? So it will try to go around obstacles that it sees. That's the basic funda. Like draw the simplest line between the basically draw the line following the displacement, and then after that work if you find the obstacle in between, go around tangentially around that obstacle.
Now you
That's
see, there is like the thing which I was talking about, the confidence in its position. So what you can see here is that, wait, I'll deselect this. Okay, never mind. Yeah. So here you can see in this global cost map, which is like stored in its memory, or like the one which we gave from Gmapping. What you can see is that there is this like faded out region of the obstacle, like basically the map which it moved. So it is not yet sure that this region is free or not. Okay, so it has marked it with a different color, and when it gets a chance to go near that area and scan it, it will like sense that this area is actually free using SLAM. So while it is moving, it is also like mapping it out again, and then it will like ensure that yeah, this area is free, and the robot can move here also. Okay, so now I'll command it to go on this at this place facing left side. Okay.
I put a link in the chat where like they do this all like very smoothly. It doesn't have explaining; it's just a demo, but like it's a very smooth demo, around a minute, and see like everything in order and how it's done.
Okay, so why isn't it moving? Is it because, yeah, okay, so it took time.
I think it'll be better if they like to see the demo now because like it's like, pretty much done, right?
Yeah.
Close it, I guess, because like then do you have the MyBot workspace on your uh, directory?
No, I don't have the MyBot one.
Clone it, like also like do it like with your screen share so that they know how to clone stuff again. It's better for them. The more practice they see, the more time they see it, the more confidence they will be.
Yeah.
So basically the gist of what we are telling you till now is that basically the gist of this session is to get you exposed to as many concepts and as many things that you'll have to do with ROS as possible. So it's very while like while working with any sort of mobile robot. A mobile robot is a mobile like robot like moves around, right? It's not a stationary robot. Like a robotic arm is not a mobile robot. Anyway, so basically, just of this session was to get you exposed to as many sort of stuff that you have to interact with in ROS and Gazebo and Arvis as possible. And when you work with mobile robots in your projects, inevitable part of that will be SLAM and navigation. And for that, you'll need to use, Gazebo, you'll need to use Arvis, and you'll need to do this mapping part, and you'll need to do this navigation part. And basically, that's what we've told you now. Now, what for to show this all to you, we basically used a custom, like we used a pre-built robot, right? But in the project, we might expect you to make a robot of your own. So basically, like your robot might not be as complicated or like as well designed as this Turtlebot robot, but you will be expected to make a Turtlebot or sorry, a robot, a mobile robot of your own. And how exactly do you do that? We'll give you some idea about that. So let's like think let's just like take a step back and think about to make a robot, what all do you need, right? And will be a good time to like if you attended the previous sort of session to like get in mind to remember the fact that why did we use ROS in the first place, right? That basically you can divide stuff into this sort of you can like work with the abstract notion of like different components and basically allocate different components for a robot to different processes called nodes and run those separately, right? That was the whole idea of this. So let's see to make a robot what all you might need. So firstly, you will need to have you'll need to information about what that robot actually looks like. Is it a square robot? What is the dimension of the robot? By dimension, I mean the exact model. Like for example, what do you do in CAD? You design something, right? So you need a sort of design for the robot, right? Firstly, Secondly, you'll need some sort of sensor on the robot, right? So two things right now: a body, a robotic body, and some sensors, right? And like thirdly, you'll need a drive, right? A robotic drive. I hope you have an idea of that, what that means. Basically, how will the robot move, right? And so all of these different sort of components you'll have to integrate into one sort of workstation, right? And like doing that is a bit tough and a bit confusing because there's no comprehensive way of doing that. So yeah, just type Moore Robotics,
What?
MOORE.
Oh,
So
yeah.
what we are sort of uh, guide, you know, guiding you towards is this person called Richard Wang, who made a very good series of tutorials on this whole process. So like basically after like going through his work, you will be able to from scratch design a robot, add sensors to it, make it move, simulate in Gazebo, simulate it in Arways, do the navigation part. So after all of these, you will be able to essentially um, make something like a turtle bot of your own, albeit not that complex, not that well designed, not functioning that well, but still something of that sort. Now, one important thing to note here is that you just you are not supposed to copy these tutorials to the dot because you won't be able to do it. These tutorials were not meant for ROS Noetic, and since these tutorials have come, they have now become outdated a bit, and in fact, if you just run the commands that the tutorial tells you to do so, you'll get several errors, right? So these tutorials are just meant for you to get an idea as to from where you can basically for you to get an idea as to what all you have to do while dealing with having to make a robot of your own, right? So um, right. So let me just put forward something called URDF, which means Universal Robot Description Format. So this is basically what you'll make a URDF file for the robot design, and this basically originally uses something called XML. So XML is pretty easy to work with. I mean, pretty easy to understand. It might become very long, but
Kushagra, you're there.
yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry for that. So basically, URD. Can you open one URD file, my bot? Peter?
Yeah.
Just open the SRC folder of my bot.
Okay. The SRC folder.
Yeah. Yeah, this is so basically this is like you can see like there are separate packages for separate components of the robot, right? And so it's like often these things follow a very common notation as to um, the design of the robot is made uh, in a package which is called description. So everything you find relating to design of the robot in description. So the URDF part, Universal Robot Description Format, is basically telling your ROS as to what exactly the robot looks like, right? And the drive works is basically making the robot move when you tell it to in the teleop channel. ODOM refers to orometry. That's all you need to know right now. So in URDF, if you go, you can use XML to design a small robot of your own, right? And yeah. It
There's
won't
this
work. It is
Shafter. Yeah.
So just a sort of word of advice. Peter, can you like don't use this? Just like clone the original MyBot WS station, whatever it was, because
Okay.
this is not MyBot, right? Hope you
Yeah.
will.
Wait. Oh, the website was more robotics, right?
Yeah, this one only. Not this one. Not closed loop. Section tutorial one, part one. Yeah,
Mm.
getting started. Getting started.
Okay, part one is the last.
Yeah, part one. Part one. Part one. This one. We proposed. So guys, I'll encourage you to like do this. Like maybe not right now, but whenever you want. Um, when you clone it, basically you'll find this sort of workstation. Then you can go inside that workstation. Workstation you can use. You can see
So
what
now
all
you can,
that
it, one more thing, you can see
Catkin.
that only the source folder is there. So you'll have to do the catkin make.
Yeah. Once you do Catkin make
You'll
SLS,
get the build and
build and
devel
level
folders also.
on your own, right? So now this is a fully functioning like sort of Catkin workstation. Now, because this was old, right? Just hit just like go to files and don't use terminal for the
Mm.
cat. My bot. So SRC, my yeah. So basically, control description Gazebo, right? So Gazebo handles with the sub simulation part. Description is where the description of the robot and basically all the URDF stuff is in. So just go to the description folder, package, URDF. So every package has a specific launch file, right? Which tells you like the launch file associated with the description package will load will load the robot in RViz with the in the shape of that model, right? Just open my bot.zacro. Yeah. So this is basically the funda is that the basic version is called XML of what you use to make a URDF file. And I don't know if you use XML or not, but I think you'll have used HTML. So it's pretty similar that in robot, what do you have? You have links and you have joints. So a link, so basically joints define how that link, a particular link will move. And let's say you have a robot with four wheels and one like cube body, right? So the cube will be one link, the four wheels will be four different links, and there'll be four joints joining each wheel to the main body, right? So you can see like this guy has made Richard Wang has made like a link called chassis, different sort of links and different joints also regarding the same thing. You can ignore collision visual right now. We'll tell you like basically what all that you'll get to know what that is later. So the basic version uses XML, and then because like if you have a very complicated robot, you can't just you keep on like writing like thousands of codes of XML, right? Because it becomes very long and tedious. So you use something called Zacro. Zacro is also a sort of a macro language, right? Which basically makes it easier for you to write robots which are very complex, so and thus have like large amounts of code in their description files. So Zacro, this file is Zacro file. So the expectation from you is that like, during a project, you'll basically start with a XML file and then make it a Zacro file. All right, and like you can see, like the end product here for Richard Wang is a Zacro file. And the very important thing for everyone to know is that earlier distributions of ROS before Noetic, something called Zacro.py was used, right, for Zacro. Now that thing has been deprecated, and now what the thing we used in Noetic is called Zacro. So he will just close this. So as a general rule, whenever you open a package in Noetic, what I want you to do is go to the package, my description. Go to whatever package you're working with. Go to there in the launch folder. Example, you want to work with the MyBrod description package. Go to its launch folder, open the launch file in Get It, and there you have to do two things. Firstly, in the first in the like the fourth line, you can see param name is equal to robot description. Command find Zacro slash Zacro.py, make it find Zacro slash Zacro. So cut the .py. This is the first thing. Secondly, type basically there's something called robot state publisher, and what it does is like it publishes TF commands. You get to know what that is later. So whenever you see state publisher, you have to make it robot state publisher. hit the 12th line, not joint. Joint will be the same,
Yeah.
robot will be changed.
Robot state
Type.
public.
So this, if you don't do this, most of your code in Noetic will give you an error, right? So you have to do this pretty much everywhere. Every time you open a sort of like you clone a new package from GitHub, which was made earlier before Noetic came. So all of these packages are made before Noetic came. So that's why they use these old conventions. Basically, you have to sort of make it work, modify this bit to make it work in Noetic. If you do catkin make hitl and then like do your launch file, I hope it should work. But it used to work in mine.
Yeah.
Later.
So I'll run the launch file now.
So, for example, like just to let you guys know, I'm not using ROS Noetic. I'm using Ubuntu 16 and using ROS Kinetic. So, for making it more than that, I don't have to make any changes because that is what ROS Kinetic is what Richard Wang used to make this sort of thing. So it works perfectly in mine. But like earlier, I used to use Noetic. Then I had to like learn to make all these changes. And there's no like um, there is no like fixed way of finding out where these changes are. You pretty much have to sort of work through each package and finding what all you have to change. So it becomes a bit sort of frustrating, but it's also a very good sort of experience for you to learn map of changes.
Hmm.
Yeah. So let's just see this guy's robot, right? What he did, he used a sort of cuboid body, two wheels, and that hemisphere, hemisphere you see is actually like a spare embedded. Anyway, the hemisphere you see is called a caster wheel. Do you guys know what a caster wheel is? If you don't know what a caster wheel is, just search this on the internet right now. I'll just like put a term in the chat. If you know what it is, just put a thumbs up to the message so I know that you guys are like with me right now. Just like type caster wheel 102. So
Yeah.
basically, you can like you can't balance a robot with two wheels, right? Either you need four wheels, or maybe if you can like put a sort of a spherical thing which moves on its own at the bottom, that's called a caster wheel. So yeah, I think you know what like shopping trolleys are, right? So whichever way you make it move, it's not that it's a proper wheel of its own, but whichever way you put a force in, it will move in that way, right? Office chairs or shopping trolley carts, right? In grocery markets, right? So similar thing in a robot that the two wheels power the whole thing, and the third wheel is there just for support, balancing the body and making it, and that wheel moves pretty much in any way the other two wheels make it move. All right. Yeah, that's a caster wheel. Anyway, just to see this, add TF,
What?
add TF. TF to TF2. Anyway, but TF1 still works. Yeah. So basically, you can see all the links, right? So you have a left wheel, you have a right wheel, you have a main base link defined, and basically TF is transform frame. So just like remember APL 100 vaguely a bit if it's not traumatic for you. Just like remember like you had different transfer like coordinate frames, right? And you could like measure motion between like you had those formulas which told you how to transform acceleration, how to transform velocities between different frames, right? So basically a robot is not one frame, right? So a robot is also a collection of different frames, and every sort of if I add a sensor, if I add a laser to this robot, let's say at the top, I'll give it a different frame of its own. All of these are like sort of transform frames, and ROS has pretty much like inbuilt a TF library which helps you basically do all those transformations that you read about um, in the background, right? Without you having to worry too much about it. There's one thing called a state publisher which like publishes those transforms, and all of that happens like automatically. You don't need to worry about it. You just need to specify that you're using that and that. So if you remember, just a while back, I told you make state publish exactly basically sending the transforms. Anyway, so this is pretty much it. This is like simulating a URDF file in Gazebo. You can see that. Just close it. Close kar do. Just like go to Rigidbank's page, I guess. Go to like what I want you guys to do is like to try to make at least part of these tutorials work for you. The order to do all of this stuff is firstly hit open ROS wiki. So guys, like listen up now. You have your homework, sort of like homework for you, right? Tutorials. First step, you need to do all of these tutorials, beginner levels. All right, all of these beginner level tutorials. All right. Firstly, ROS tutorials. Then after that, if you haven't done Robotist Turtlebot 3 yet, do it in the way Hetal to explained it to you, right? Just in the beginning of the session. Do all of that. Then thirdly, if you want and if you have time, try the Moo Robotics Digitbank tutorials. But keep in mind that you'll have to make a lot of modification to the files before you can make it work. So I think I told you two things: .py cancel and make state publisher into robot state publisher. Anyway, there might be some more things. Whatever errors you get, you can keep posting them in the Discord server. We'll try to help you. In Noetic, it might become a bit buggy, and even we might not be able to do it completely. But that's all right. The idea for you is to learn from these things and then use these things to like sort of sort of enable you to actually function with ROS by yourself. So the main idea is not for us to teach you everything, because we ourselves don't know everything. We only know it very, very nominally. The idea is that after like in July, you can like search ROS wiki on your own and get stuff done by your own, right? That's the main idea. If you have an error, you have an idea on how to tackle that error, right? If you can do all of that, that's basically that's what we want you to take away from doing all of this, right? That is pretty much it. Yeah, if you want, you can do these Moo Robotics tutorials as well. So 3 things. Firstly, ROS tutorials on the main ROS wiki page. Then you can do the Turtlebot 3 tutorials, as we told you how to do them, in the Robotist page on the website. And lastly, moorobots.com. This is Rigidbank's website, and you can do the tutorials. I think just go to the menu on this. There's one. I don't think I think there's one. Yeah. You need to do part 1, 2, 3. You do not have a hardware robot, so don't go about doing those, right? Just do part 1, 2, 3. All right, guys. Questions?
Hello, sir.
Concerns, whatever. Yeah.
Sir, my robot is still not moving.
Acha, is this Samarthya?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll get to this once. Let's just ask general doubts first, then we'll get to you. Guys, any like general doubts or anything, any concerns, any questions, anything, honestly. Now's the time to ask. If there are no questions, then like those people who want to leave can leave, and those who want to like want us to do some debugging with them, you can stay. All right. Thank you for attending. Hetal, you can close the recording now.